Hi there, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Today's video is about the Timemore Sculptor grinders, and we have two new Burrs sets to try them along the grinders. So brief history and feedback. Timemore came with these grinders like 2 years ago. The Sculptor, they have two models, the 64mm flat Burrs and this is the 78mm flat Burrs. There's one for filter coffee and one for espresso. Nonetheless, we have the filter model and the espresso model here, but we're gonna try two new Burrs sets inside these grinders, and you can install them on either of them. Ideally, you want to install them on the espresso version, but you can also install them in the filter version, as we're gonna show you right now. So those two new Burrs sets, one is from SSP Burrs. It's a red speed coated burr with a high uniformity geometry. Basically, it's intended to be very good for espresso, clean, crisp, and at the same time for filter coffee. And the other Burrs set, it's kind of the same approach. It's by Lebrew Burrs sets. It's called Hyper Burrs. So regarding our opinion with the stock Burrs with the Timemore Sculptor 78S, the issue that we had with these Burrs is that they act very good in filter coffee, surprisingly, although they are designed for espresso, and at the same time they provide very enjoyable turbo shots. Basically, you pull your espresso extraction in 20 seconds, no longer 2022. With those faster turbo espresso shots, it's clean, sweet, enjoyable. But whenever you push it for 30 seconds or any longer, we used to get a lot of channeling no matter how much we season the grinder. Overall, it's not an enjoyable Burrs for espresso. To start with, you have to take out the old Burrs, and to access the grinder, Timemore is not an easy accessible grinder, and by no means it's an easy one to align, but let's illustrate it for you briefly. So you come to the grinding dial, it's magnet, you pull it outside, then you have the small knob, you loosen it, basically going coarser, you keep going coarser, and eventually it will come off. Finally, you get this one out, and you have 6 Allen key screws. Previously, we used to use just normal Allen key, but this is really time consuming, and we've been enjoying this one from Hutu. We'll leave a link for it on Amazon. It's a battery operated screwdriver, super simple, with Type-C charger and changeable heads. So let's start with the screws. This is the first one, the second one, the third, fourth, fifth, and the final one. So once we removed all the screw and you pull the front cover outside, then you have the Burrs here, the front burr carrier, let's say. You have space here to access this handle. Once you hold it in your hand, you give it a push inside, you align it to the opening, and it comes out. You have the Burrs out. So as you can see, in the black Timemore, we installed the Lebrew Burrs. They are here. Inside the white version, we installed SSP Burrs. Now to remove the stock Burrs, you brush the Burrs, remove the 2 screws, put the Burrs inside the machine, and put them back inside. The tricky part in the Timemore Sculptor is aligning the Burrs, and each Burr offered different challenges, let's say. So with the SSP Burrs, they were kind of straightforward for 2 reasons. The first one, they are red speed coated, and they are much easier to see if the wipe is even with the marker test. So after you install the Burrs, you put them back and you put everything, and you start going final until you start hearing Burrs are chirping. So basically they are touching, and at that point with the marker test, they should have an even wipe. Once you hear the Burrs are touching, you go ahead, take the full 6 screws, take the front burr carrier, then check if it's evenly wiped. With the SSP Burrs, it's super easy to notice that, and the final cutting edges are very noticeable if they get wipes. Whereas with Lebrew Burrs, they were very tricky because the final cutting edges are small, and you have to really focus on the very far end of the Burrs to see very small wipe. So they were much trickier to align. But nonetheless, we were able to align both of them, get them inside. And I would say with the Timemore, the only advantages thing about aligning the Burrs, apart from the very difficult and time consuming reaching the Burrs, is the burr carrier itself. It's really flat, there are no grooves, so placing an aluminum shim, it's super easy. So how did we test the Burrs? Initially, we wanted to go with espresso, and our priority was to check how smooth the espresso extraction on a bottomless portafilter. Because of the previous Burrs, the extraction was never smooth, a lot of channeling, and it was never that satisfying bottomless extraction. However, with both Burrs, extraction was surprisingly good, very smooth, consistent. Both Burrs, even if it's 20 seconds, 25 or even 40-second extraction time, it was very smooth extraction and even. So we went ahead and we chose medium roasted coffee beans as a standard starting point, and we aimed for 4 espresso shots with each Burrs set. We wanted fast, medium and long extraction time, ranging from 20, 25, 40 seconds extraction, and to have them side by side to measure 2 things, to taste them and to measure the TDS, basically how much coffee was dissolved in the liquid itself. And the extraction yield gave us the data that the SSP Burrs were slightly higher extraction yield than the Lebrew Burrs. It's not a massive yield, but small margin, let's say. And when it came to taste wise, which is the important part, both Burrs, what they shared is that they were consistent, good body, good tasting notes, enjoyable, and sometimes they were even very difficult to distinguish between the two. Nonetheless, the SSP Burrs felt a bit brighter, slightly cleaner, maybe the tasting notes fruitier. That does not mean that Lebrew Burrs were not like that, but it just felt more chocolatey on the chocolatey side with Lebrew Burrs. With SSP, they felt slightly on the brighter side. After that, we wanted to go with light roasted coffee beans, and we put 2 espresso shots for each one. And that testing, again, they were very similar, might be difficult to distinguish, but we confirmed our initial tasting notes is that SSP Burrs had the slight brightness edge over the Lebrew Burrs. We were happy with the results, and after that, we wanted to confirm it with filter coffee. So we had the new scale from Timemore, and we used V60 brewing method. We started with SSP Burrs, and from the first brew with SSP Burrs, you can notice the paper filter was clean. There's some fine particles, but it was generally clean, what you would expect from good filter Burrs, let's say. After that, we came, this is without tasting them yet, we came to the Lebrew Burrs, and we went 2 brews. The first one was super muddy, but at the same time did not take a long time. It went like 2 minutes 30 seconds, and we went coarser. The second brew was relatively close to the SSP Burrs, but you can see here that SSP still offered cleaner paper filter. When it came to tasting them, again, no surprise, they were difficult to distinguish. Like the difference, it's not massive, it's right there, but the filter coffee from SSP Burrs felt juicier. The tasting was a bit more lingering, and it's that juiciness that hits you in the mouth and then vanishes enjoyable. Like as they say, the aftertaste is very enjoyable, clean, easy. There is no astringency. With Lebrew Burrs, it felt higher body, slightly more sweetness, and the clarity is not as clean, as crisp as the SSP Burrs. So when it came to filter, we were able to more distinguish them between each other, but this does not mean like Lebrew Burrs were not enjoyable in filter. It's just that SSP felt it gave you that extra edge in cleanness and crispness. Now keep in mind, we made sure to season the Burrs with 2 kilograms of coffee beans. Generally, we feel most Burrs after 500 grams, they'll give you like kind of idea of the optimum performance. Some Burrs might require like 10 kilograms, but with those Burrs, we really felt like after 2.5 kilograms, we were able to get the general idea of them. The most important part was aligning the Burrs, which with Timemore, it was extreme time consuming, and you need to be patient. Of course, it depends on the Burrs that you're gonna use and the alignment of your grinders. Some might be straightforward, clean wipe, some might be more difficult. To wrap this video up, we're really happy with both these Burrs sets, and we believe both are very wonderful options for you depending on your preference. So if you're on a budget, because the brew are cheaper and we also have a discount code for them. So if you're on a budget, they are a very good option. If you are looking to have more consistent espresso shots, still enjoy good clarity, sweetness. If your filter coffee not your #1 priority, if you want occasional filter coffee or you still enjoy extra sweetness in filter coffee, definitely go with the Lebrew Burrs. If you want that extra edge of clarity and crispness, you will feel with SSP Burrs more in filter than espresso. So on the espresso, they are very close. Still SSP is cleaner, but when it came to filter coffee, you might be able easier to tell the difference. And that's it for today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and please, if you own any of these Burrs, let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Everyone would love to hear different opinions, and as always, see you soon in the next one. Bye.